Hi, I'm Tim775. I'm going to be adding a new resource to Infracost so we can get some cost estimates for your infrastructure as code. All right, I'm going to go over here. And I'm going to assume that you've cloned the Infracost repo and you've taken a look at the contributing guide. You've set up your development environment, and also that you've followed the instructions for getting a local Postgres cloud pricing database set up, so we can do the mapping for the prices for the resources we're going to add. All right, so the basic steps are we're going to pick an issue. We're going to try and understand what the resource is, how the pricing is done for it. Then we'll figure out what parameters we need to calculate the price, and we'll map those to records in the pricing database. And the next step will be to look at the Terraform code and figure out how we can get those values out of Terraform, send them to the calculator code that we've written. Then we'll create a pull request and write some tests and all that good stuff. So first place to start is, I guess, the project board. And I can see there's AWS MMA, new MWAA, I guess, new resource here. Take a look at this one. Okay. So manage workflow for Apache Airflow. I'll just say that I'll take this one, exclamation. And this is kind of cool. We got some links here to the Amazon pricing page and also to the Terraform docs for it. That'll be pretty helpful. And I can see that somebody, me, has already gone through and taken a look at this and told us roughly what cost components are going to be. There's going to be one for this environment. Unit is hours. And then there are going to be usage params for workers, schedulers, and I guess the database. Usage params means that we're not going to be able to pull the values we need out of the Terraform file. So we'll have a way for people to enter them in the usage file so they can make estimates anyway. All right, so let's take a look at pricing, see if we can understand how this thing is going to work. All right, so manage workflow for Apache Airflow. Okay, I can see there's an environment pricing, an hourly instance usage. Okay, also hourly for workers, schedulers, and then pretty much what we saw in the ticket, gigabyte month for database. In the pricing table, this is kind of cool. You can see that you can have a small, medium, or large instance. It costs anywhere from like 50 cents to $1. And then the workers and schedulers are also based on this size, small, medium, or large. And then there's a flat rate for the database storage. Okay, another thing we can do if we're still not sure is look at the AWS pricing calculator. That's sometimes helpful for figuring out what parameters you need. So I'll open that up. Create an estimate for managed workflow. Okay, figure this. Okay, so kind of what we expected. You can choose whether you want small, medium, or large. You can set the minimum or maximum number of workers. So that probably means it's an auto scaling thing, which is why it's going to be a usage file thing and not something that's set in the Terraform. Yeah, hours at max workers is probably similar. And number of schedulers and then database size. We can look at the calculations if we want. Just get a further breakdown, of the prices they're using, and we'll want to come back to this later when we're all done, just to make sure that our code is matching up correctly with this. So let's take a look at the Terraform next, see if we can figure out anything from that. All right, so I'm looking at this resource. I don't see anything here that says the small, medium, or large, which is what I was expecting. So I'll look at a couple other examples. No. Oh, okay, here we go. Environment class. This is where my small, medium, and large is coming from. And that's why it's not there. The default is set to small. And it's an optional parameter. Okay, and min max workers. I don't see anything for the scheduler, and then I don't see anything for the gigabytes, which makes sense. Not sure why the scheduler isn't in here, but I guess that's just going to be an auto scaling thing too, or something. So maybe it's not supported by Terraform. I don't know, but doesn't look like we have a way to get that value from here. So I think the first step is I'm gonna create a branch, and I'm gonna do it, normally do it from master, of course, but I'm gonna do it from this contributing docs branch that I'm working on, so I can look at my updated contributing docs while I work through this. We call it manage workflow, Apache Air, environment. We'll just say that we're adding that. No, I guess I need to check out that. Okay. If I go to the contributing guide again, and I want to be on my branch, you can go to master, but I want to look at I use some unpaiding these contributing docs. Okay, so if I look at the quick start, it's going to tell me first thing I need to do is add a new resource file, an internal resources AWS. So this is going to be a file that's shared by it's going to be used by Terraform and any other IAC providers we add in the future. So let me create one for this. I can go to internal resources, AWS. Okay, there are already a few of these in there. This is the new style, so we don't have every resource done in this sort of split up format. So MWA environments. .go. I think I just probably want that to match with the Terraform. So, yep, that looks good. Okay, I don't really need to add a test file for this case. We're going to have, this is going to be used by the Terraform, and there will basically be an integration test that covers, Terraform and hits all the stuff in this file we need to. So I will copy from the contributing docs this template. And so now I got my resource in here, and I guess I've already done this. Can rename. So we've got MWAA environment. First thing I want to do, so what we're trying to do is figure out what parameters that we need to set up to calculate the cost. And I think we already said we've got a size. So we'll start there. The address and region are pretty much going to stay there for everything. So we're going to need a size parameter, and then I can look, since somebody's already done the work, I can look back at the ticket and see which usage parameters I'm going to need and set them up at this time too. So this is monthly. I guess I'm going to need 3 of these. So this one will be additional workers. I think it's okay to leave these as a float, not an int, since it's not a strict count. You know, since they can run, since they're going to auto scale, it's going to be, you know, that average number of workers. So it could be average 1.5 additional workers over the course of the month or something like that. And what do we call this? Okay, and now I need to, so I've added these parameters. These little tags help us coordinate, or you know, map it into the usage file. So they're pretty handy, but now I need to do a little repeating of myself down here. Okay, so we've got size, we've got some parameters for our worker schedules and gigabytes. I think now this looks pretty good. I'm going to try figuring out how to map this to the price for now. I'm going to get rid of this usage parameter for now. We'll deal with that later, I guess. Okay, so the first thing, I can see that the name, I'm going to start with the environment one. So the first thing, I want this to be environment size. So it's going to be a string, and then I can get this from my parameter. I probably want, I don't have a good way to restrict this for now, but we'll say this should be small, medium, or large. It'd be nice if we had some validation on this, but I think we'll call it that for now. You can see my unit is hours, which is what I want. That's how it's priced. Unit multiplier is set to 1. Most of the time this is going to be set to 1. This is for cases where, you know, in AWS Lambda, the price is presented as like millions of requests, you know, so 17 cents per million requests, even though, you know, you can be charged for less than 1 million. So you'd set 1 million here in that case, so everything looks nice when you output it. Okay, the hourly quantity, well, that's going to be one instance per hour. And then let's see, product filter. So we're going to be AWS, I think. Well, we'll check and see what the region should. I guess the region is going to be coming from Terraform, so that's good. And then service. This is the first thing we're going to need to figure out. So I'm going to go to the contributing docs and look for the section on finding prices. And what this is going to have is a bunch of helpful queries that I can run against my Postgres that we already set up. So if I connect to Postgres, connect to the cloud pricing database, I'll just start with this as an example. So I want to see all the cloud vendors that we have. That's going to be Okay, so that's what I'm expecting to see: Google, AWS, and Azure. And now I want to find all the, actually I'm going to do this in code so I can tweak stuff as I go. Okay, so I know I want to look for AWS. So I'm looking for the managed workflow, and okay, I didn't see it. I'm going to try doing some filtering. So again, AWS, and I'm gonna, this is the regex operator in Postgres, and it's case insensitive. So I'm gonna look for workflow, I guess, and see if I can find a service that mentions workflow. Nothing there. I don't know. Apache. What do they call it? MWAA. Okay, there it is. So figured out my service. The next thing to do is figure out the product family. So I've got my service and AWS again, so I can match the product family. This is kind of weird. It's got a blank product family. So I guess I can ignore that going forward. Seems like the best. And then, so this is saying find unique descriptions. Now this is interesting because the descriptions come from this attributes file and not, I don't think AWS consistently has a description field. I think that's probably a Google thing. So I'm just going to look at the whole distinct attributes for our MWAA service. And I said I don't need a product family. And I'm just going to see what this gives me. All right. Okay, so that's a bunch of stuff. So I can see I've got a type here, standard, which isn't what I was expecting. Location, so that's going to be the region. I can filter out on the region. And then this usage type, service code is not going to help me since that looks like it's the same for all of them, and I guess same for this. So I think what I want to do is just look at one region. So I'm going to say and region equals US East 1. Okay, so that's only 10. So now I can see what's going on. All right, so I still got this type, location, size. Okay, there's my medium, large, and small, and type. All right, I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Just look at these. Just want to see what the attributes, just with the size, type, and maybe usage type. So attribute size, and we'll call that size. Attributes, I think I need a double arrow there actually for Postgres. Type, and then usage type. Let's see what that gives me. And I didn't do my attributes correctly, so I'm going to close that. Get rid of all this junk. Okay. Okay, now I can see kind of what's going on here. So the large, medium, small is the size. That maps to what we're expecting from pricing docs. And then, okay, there are different records for environment, scheduler, worker, and standard. And okay, standard is standard database storage, so that's going to be our gigabyte months. Okay, so I think the filter I want for this is going to be size and type. And since I'm doing the, let's see what we got here. Okay, so I'm going to say I want to attribute filters for this of size and type. And type, since I'm just doing the environment one, that'll be this. And then I think we said that we would expect small, medium, or large. So I could just do this as a value, but I'm going to do it as a value regex since I'm not actually enforcing that small, medium, large thing at this point. And I'm going to call this a dot size. So this size parameter is what's going to be passed in after we parse the Terraform, and we're going to set the size parameter. And you can see it's doing a regex. It's got the anchors, and it's just doing basically a case-insensitive match in case for whatever reason, small is sent in as lowercase or crazy case. The next thing I'm going to want to do is look at the price filters and figure out what price filters I want. Sometimes, there could be reserved instances, so there will be multiple prices per product. Let me see if I got a query for that in my contributing docs. So select a unique product. Let's find a unique price for a product. And this is going to pretty up my JSON, so I'm going to use this one. So let's see. Vendor is AWS. We said there was no product family. It's US East 1. That must be a Google thing because I know that has a dashnet for AWS. And then the attributes I'm going to look at, I said I was filtering on size, and we'll just pick large, I guess. Actually, let's filter on type because we're only looking at environment. I want to see all the prices for the, so let's do both. So we'll see type equals environment and size equals large. And I don't need a price filter at this point, I believe. So I'll just leave that off when I copy and paste. So let's see if I paste this in here. Okay, that looks like what I want, but it's not super nice to read, so let me just do that. Okay, so I can see I got one price, US East 1, and these are the attributes, so it's large, environment, and the price is 99 cents per hour, so that sounds good. Yeah, 99 cents per hour for airflow large environment, so that's where the description is. In this case, it's in the price. Purchase option on demand, so there's only one price in this case, which is good, and there's no tiers or anything like that. So let me see, let me look at my code for a second. Let's see. So we don't need a pricing filter, but I'm just gonna leave this on demand. So this is filtering on purchase option on demand, which is what we saw in the database. And that's just a safety thing. Who knows, in case I'll lock it down a little in case they add reserved instances or some other weird pricing that'll keep this from breaking. All right, so at this point we've got our cost component, which is filtering. I don't know if it works yet. We'll try that in a bit. And we're setting the size parameter for it. And we're not doing any tweaking of the values in here, any checking of the values, which we might want to do. So the next step, now that we've got sort of our calculator code set up, is we want to add the code that's going to extract these values from Terraform code. All right, so look at the contributing doc again. Okay, this is what we did, internal resources, AWS. And the next thing we're going to do is add providers, Terraform, AWS, into test. And this code is going to get the attributes that we need for the file we just made. So let's see. Providers, Terraform, AWS, and we're going to create, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to create a new Go file, MWA environment.go. And then we're going to create another one for the test, because I know I'm going to need that pretty soon. And I'll just do the same thing. I'll copy the template in. And I'll do my quick rename. Yep, that looks good. I guess I don't need that yet. Okay, now I want to look at, so you can see we're getting in the resource data. We're also getting in usage data. And I can, so region, that was, yep, that's already, the address comes from Infracost. It tells us where to put where it is in the Terraform file. The region we're already getting. SKU doesn't really exist, so we can get that out and instance type from SKU. And then these ones, I think we said we were size was the main thing we were looking for at this point. That was the non-usage parameter. So let's look at our Terraform and see what parameter. I know we looked at this earlier. Okay, here we go. So environment class will be this MW1, and it will default. So we're going to have to do a little processing, I guess, to get the value we want. So size, I'm going to start this out at the default value. Then we'll say, I think we want to do like an if d dot get, what do we call that? Environment class. Not equal to, actually there's a, let me look this up for a second. There's a way to decide if the key is set or not. Okay, here we go. I found this. So we want to check if type is not equal to null. So if that is not equal to no, then we can set the size equal to get dot string, and that's a GJSON casting thing. You can also use GJSON selectors in there if you have nested params or arrays of stuff. It's sort of like using JQ if you're familiar with that. But now that we've got everything set to what should be mw1.small. We're going to need to, I guess the first thing I want to do, not sure the best, so we'll set size. Well, I'm going to strip off that mw1. So we just get small, and then I guess I need to upcase the first thing. So maybe I'll use the strings and I'll say replace all, or I guess a million ways I could do this. So we're going to take size and we're going to replace mw1. I should probably just slice this, I know. With that, and then let's see, replace all, and this I probably just want to lower this because I know Terraform is not case sensitive. So at this point I'm going to have something that looks like hopefully anyway, small, medium, large. I don't know if they had something in the future, maybe it'll be extra large. And I think I'm supposed to upcase this first part. So let me look at how to do that real quick. Okay, I found what I'm looking for. Strings.title, that's pretty cool. All right, that's kind of bugging me, so I'm gonna spread this out a little so it doesn't feel so ugly. So we're going to lower, and we're going to say strings.title size. And then we can pass, so at this point we should have small, medium, or large, nicely capitalized like we're looking for. And usage we're going to ignore for now. But I guess this is a fairly simple resource because we were able to, we just need to get that one parameter out aside from the usage. So let's go ahead and add the test. We use golden file tests. If I can find where I'm trying to get this thing. Okay, so this is what I want. If I open up the test and I want to rename this my resource. Okay. Now these are, so the nice thing about these golden file tests is we can just write a simple Terraform config, and then it'll, run the tool, generate the output, and compare the output. So there's not a lot of boilerplate stuff for the test, except setting up the test directories. And we're going to see if we can do that. If it'll do that automatically for us. I just don't remember at this point. Okay, so to run the unit test, make test. So I'm going to use a little trick here since the test suite takes a little bit of time to run. Normally I could do make test, but if I set args to run, and this will just pass, args will just pass that parameter into the go test, and it'll filter out everything that doesn't match this that string there, and that should give me an error because it doesn't have the test data, and I'm not sure, but I can try. What is it? update. Don't look at what the make file. This should be test update. That should work. Okay, and it's gonna make me actually create these directories. Oh, it's still looking, it still thinks it's called my resource, so there's something I didn't do there. I guess my search and replace didn't catch everything. So yeah, this will have to be MWAA, I guess AWS. I think we're just calling this MWAA, environment tests. And then I can go and create in the providers Terraform in the test data. You can see pretty much for every resource there's a matching test data. So I got to create a directory. I should do this automatically. And then I can just create a test TF file. So I'll do that. And the way it works is just you need all these names to match. And I think I can look at, or I can get started anyway with just a basic example here. So I think I can just copy this maybe. See if that works. And I don't know, I need to set this provider stuff, I believe. And I guess that example needs some extra stuff in there. I wonder if any of these are required, so that. Okay, so these are all required. Let me go figure out how to come up with a good example for this one. All right, so I'm just doing a search in the other test directory just to see if any of these other things are already set up, so I can see. Where did I find that? So first thing I'm looking for is an AWS IAM role, so search for that. Just want a basic one that doesn't do anything. Okay, this looks pretty basic. So I'll call that example. Okay, I'm gonna need a security group, I guess. Looks like that can just be empty. Just needs to be called example since it's what I got in my MWAA. This kind of boilerplate stuff, but I guess you would. And we need a VPC now, I guess. Let me look at where I found that security group, since that probably is all that required stuff. So I think I'll just copy all that. Oops, I erased my security group too. Subnet's called private, and an S3 bucket ARN. wonder if I'll have one of those, probably. That looks like that'll do it. Okay, so now this seems to be happy. Let me try running those tests again. Okay, it looks like it's got a problem with Terraform. Let me figure that out. Okay, I just need to rename the IM role for some reason. I'm going to try and run the test again. Okay, I can see that I'm now getting output here, except I'm not getting it for the resource we wanted. I'm just getting it for the S3 bucket that we had. And the reason why is because I need to add my new resource, my new Terraform resource to the registry. So there's a checklist step for this, but if I go to the registry file, that's how it does all the lookups. So in the Terraform registry, I can see that I need my get. I need to put this message in here, and we generally try and keep these listed alphabetically. It's the best order, right? Let's see if that helps out. And let's see. Okay, that didn't help, I guess. Okay, I'm still getting this AWS MMA. That's important. Okay. I never switched my resource there. So we've added to the registry, we've given it the right name. So this is the Terraform name that's going to map. We'll see. Okay, so now I can see that I have my AWS MWA environment showing up. It's got the right hours, it's got the right monthly cost, but the unit is hours, but the cost is 0, which is not what I was expecting. So I'm probably going to have to debug my pricing query a little bit. So if I go back here, you can see that I'm returning my cost components. It's got that thing. And you can see the mistake I made here was I updated my attribute filters, but I didn't put in, I think we said we're getting rid of product family. We've got the right vendor, it's AWS. And I believe we said this was MWAA was the service name. So let's try that. Okay. Now I can see that I'm getting a price for this, so that looks good, and we can add some additional test cases at this point. So I can just copy this, and let's say I want to test that we're actually picking up. So that I'm going to rename this example. I'm going to call this initial one just sort of descriptive on what we're actually testing, and we're going to say that we're testing default. I forget what that parameter was called. Something environment. Default environment class. Okay. So we'll call this one default environment class. And then I'll call this medium. And I think all we need to do to make this medium is add mw1.medium. And just for the heck of it, we'll do some crazy case. See if that shows up and gives us the price we expect. Okay, that looks pretty good. So at this point, I think I can update. I'm actually surprised it's not updating itself. Let me check out what's going on with that. Okay, when I do I just need to pass the update option in here since I'm passing in args. Okay, so that should have created this new file for me. The golden file, which we can go look at. Okay, and this is the output that that we'd expect from running the breakdown command with that Terraform file. And if we want to, it's kind of nice about these tests, we can actually just run Infracost against this TF. We can ignore the S3 bucket stuff. We're not going to even bother filling anything out, but we can see that we got one test case for this default environment class, and it sets it to small, and we've got one for medium. And those prices look about right. We'll check those as a final step at the end. One thing we haven't done at this point is add any usage. I think I want to make that, I don't know. I guess let's just do that now. See how quick we can get that done. This video's going on pretty long now. But I guess you can skip forward if you want, or it'll get edited out. Anyway, so to add the usage stuff, I'm gonna go back to the generic resource. So let me close up some of this stuff so I can see where I am. All right, so I've got the generic resource. And I know that I'm going to want to add these usage parameters here. And I think if I think about adding the additional workers, I'm probably going to want to do a little refactoring, because if I think about the cost component I'm going to add for additional workers, it's going to be, it's going to have a different environment. It's going to have it's still going to be hours for the workers and schedulers. That's all going to be the same. The only thing that's really going to change is going to be this type value. So I guess I'll just pass that in based on it. So I'm going to refactor this cost component into a new method, and I'll just do that quickly. Okay, so I basically just copied this cost component down here and made it into this new instance cost component method where I can pass in the instance types. So that's going to be environment, worker, scheduler, whatever it is that I'm trying to match, and then the size. So this won't handle the database storage one. But now that I've done that, And I did that because, you know, I know a lot of the filters and stuff are going to be the same for this. So I can do environment in a.size. And now I'll just run my test to make sure nothing's changed. I've got to make sure I've taken out that dash update flag. And it's okay because nothing's changed. If I wanted to see if I screwed something up, if I give it the wrong name, I can see that these golden files will show that something changed. And so this is an error. You see that we got this back and that didn't match anything, so we got 0 cost. So that looks cool. Now for the usage file, or for the usage arguments, pretty much what we need to do here is, first thing we need to do is update the example usage file. And so again, alphabetical order, we're going to put AWS MWA environment .my AWS MWAA. Sure, that works. I guess we'll be consistent with everything. I'm going to copy over our usage parameters and give them a little description. We got additional workers. It's going to be, I guess that can be a, so monthly worker instances. That sounds about right. I think there's going to be schedulers. And then meta database gigabytes. I guess we gotta clean this up. Okay, so this example file is used when we want to use the sync usage function. So this will put placeholders in so that somebody using this will know what fields they need to fill out. Now, as far as what we're doing in the code, so we're going to check to see if the usage value is set. So I think this is going to be kind of easy. I need to fix my refactor, but I think I can just add, at least for the worker and scheduler. Let me check what those keys were in the database, make sure they're going to match what we want to display and all that. But yeah, worker, scheduler, so that should be fine. Size stays the same, and I guess I forgot to add a quantity in here. And I guess this will be a float, so I need to add a parameter. which I suppose will just be a float 64. And just for the sake of it, I guess I better make that a decimal. Just for... or really decimal pointer. And then I can take this quantity and just put that in there. And so for that is always going to be that. And we've already added the parameters, so I'm just going to need to fix those up. Okay, I'm gonna make a worker count, I guess, or worker quantity, which will be a decimal pointer. Then I can just say, if this is not equal to nil, then we can set worker or quantity equal to, I don't know what it is, new from float, I guess. A dot additional workers, and I need to dereference that and make that into a decimal pointer. Then I can pass this in here. The point of this is basically that if the quantity is nil, that's when it'll show that message monthly cost it'll show that basically nothing's been defined and that you can define that value from the usage file if you want. And so now I can do the same thing for the schedule quantity. And let's see if that does the trick. Okay, so that worked so far. We can see that we're getting, for a small worker, it's costing, I'm guessing that's 55 cents per hour. For medium, or sorry, I guess that's 0.55 per hour. Let me just check and make sure that that's what we're expecting from the pricing page. Okay, so those are the same, so that's probably cool. And now what I want to do is add some test cases with actual usage. You always want to have cases with and without the usage. So adding another test case, we're just adding another TF file. So in this case, we'll call it, I don't know, let's say this is a large with usage. The difference now is we're going to want to add a usage file. And once we do that, it'll automatically get picked up by these golden file tests. So where'd we go? And so the pattern, it's going to be the same thing, just usage.yaml. I guess I'll just copy this one. Okay, and this is going to be AWS MWAA environment, and I think we called it large with usage, and my usage keys were additional workers, and we'll say that we have 2.5. And additional schedulers, let's say we have 3 of those on average. And I think those are the right names, but I'll just check. Yep. So now that we have this usage file for our test, just check that we got the names right. So large with usage, that's going to match up with that, and we'll see what happens when we run the test again and get the output. And that did not match up for some reason. So we said large with usage. We have our usage file. So, okay. I misspelled this directory name. How do I rename it? It wasn't picking up the usage file because of that. That looks better there, and I just got to update my test file because I misspelled it there too. Now let's see what happens. Okay, so now I can see I'm picking up the usage file for this, so that's pretty good. And this was our large test with usage. I'm going to go back now, and we have one more. We have to add usage for the database. So I guess for this one, I could, let me look at the queries for this again. So I think we said it was standard, so I think I'm going to do it a little bit differently before we use the size and type. Standard isn't super meaningful, so I'm just going to go for this airflow. I'm gonna do a match on the usage type column. So I guess I'll just copy this, make another helper for storage cost component, and instance type and size don't matter. So it's really just the quantity we care about that. And forget what we said we wanted to call this in the ticket. So it'll be metadatabase. And there really are no parameters here because it's all just standard. Region's the same, provider, service, unit is going to be gigabytes, and this is gigabyte month, so it's going to be a monthly quantity. Unit multiplier will stay the same. And then what we wanted to change was the attribute filter here, because we wanted to match on usage type. And that was it. And we want to do a string that ends with I guess we don't need to format it since it's a fixed string, we know what it's going to be. We just want it to end that, and I think that'll work fine. We'll give that a shot in a second. And we can add our new storage cost here, and we'll do the same thing as we did here. What do we call that? Meta storage gigabyte. Okay. I guess we didn't name that correctly up here, right? So metadatabase. Gigabyte. Okay. So we're just, this is metadatabase. And we're just passing the quantity into that one, so that's fine. Metadatabase, all right. So let's see what, I think we already updated this, so all right, let's just see what that does in our test. Okay, so 10 cents per gigabyte, that looks good. We've got it. We want to add a usage test here. So all we have to do now, since we already got that usage file, is add the field. Call it 1,000 gigabytes. And And I gotta name that field correctly. I guess the video is going on way too long. But let's see, what did I call it? I can look at the example, metadata base gigabytes, go to my usage. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And what I'm going to do now is just update that folder file, because I think we're about ready to check this in. I can leave these changes out. These are just the tweaks I did for the querying. I'm just going to look through what I got here. So I've updated my example, the example file, added the new provider resource, added the new test file, updated the registry. I have the golden file. You can see we kind of got this nice readable output. It's the same thing that you'd get from the tool, so it's pretty cool in my opinion. Some more test stuff. And then the provider agnostic resource. So use conventional commits. So this is going to be feature AWS add MWAA environment resource. I guess I should make format and make a lint before I do that. And it was clearly cleaning something up. It's kind of nice. It cleans up the Terraform as well. Okay, that's the resource. Makes sense to me. Okay, that should be good. Now I can commit, push this up. And when I make the pull request, I'm going to want to look at the contributing docs. And I, again, need to go to my branch, my updates. So we have a template in here for what you want your pull request to look like. Okay, so I'm adding support for environments. And which issue does this fix? This fixes 895. I can add some details just about the price. Has 4 price components described in I'll just say the additional workers / additional schedulers seem to be an auto scaling feature, so those are handled as a usage param, which is I guess the reviewer will figure that out, but that'll be nice to explain why. So let's see. I added to the registry. I added the internal resource. I added the provider resource. I added to the usage example. I added the test case. I did not compare the test case output, and I did not update the supported resource, but I'm going to go ahead. I think I can open this pull request at this point. Okay, now I'm just gonna, just for sanity's check, it's always a good idea, while this thing is building, we're gonna take a look and make sure that the prices just make sense and everything matches up as far as what we did. And the best way to do that is look at this golden file output, which is really the output of the cost. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check that if I have an M1 small, or I guess not an M1, MW1 small. So if I have a small environment for a month, that the prices match up. So I'll go to the pricing calculator, and let's see what's going on here. So small, so the environment cost $730 hours at 56 cents. Which I don't think is what I had. Check. I think I had that set for, it was set for Seoul. Okay, so there's different prices in Seoul. So I just need to update this to be the region that I used in my golden file. Yeah, sure, we'll change that. Okay, so if I have a small environment, I'm expecting 357.70, and I can see that matches with what I got in my golden file test. And just for completeness, I'll take a look at these price. These ones I have the actual price that would be used there, so I can take a look. So this is saying that workers, I guess I need to add an additional worker. So I can see that the price it's using for workers is 0.55. I'm still not sure how to set schedulers, but 2 schedulers 0.55. So those again match the price that I'm showing here. I think this is what, 2.5 and 2 scheduled workers with a large. And if I say 1,000 gigabytes, it's $100, which should match up what I had here. It's probably, I'll go through and check some more of these examples. I'm going to ignore the S3 thing because that's not, that was just part of setting up the required Terraform stuff to get AWS MWAA to work here. But that is looking pretty good so far. The other thing on my list, I guess I can check this off as having checked that, is I need to create a PR, and I'm not going to do this, but I'll just talk. So we have all the list of supported resources, so you can see the service name and the Terraform resource. So I'll go through next and create a pull request for the docs just to update this very quickly. That's it. Thanks for sticking with me, and have fun adding resources.